Hey everyone, this is Mr. Cockcroft, and today we're going to go over the Amelia Earhart SchoolNet assessment that we did on Tuesday. And remember, the standard we went over is RI 7.3, which is the interaction between people, ideas, and events in a nonfiction article. For this video, I'm just going to go over question number 2. In class, we're going to talk about all the questions actually, but for this video, for those who may have missed class, I just want to look at number 2 because this is a good example of why some people made a common mistake. See, only 50% of people from my class actually got this question correct. There was a pretty big common error of 36% that all thought B was the correct answer, and I really want to focus on why that is wrong, or why C is the correct answer. So let's start off with the question. I'm going to make this video assuming you have already read this whole passage, which I know is a little lengthy, but honestly, it's not going to be any longer or shorter than anything you'll see on an EOG or a future benchmark. So if you're struggling with the length, we'll have to catch up and build that stamina so this really isn't too long of a passage. One quick note is this really wasn't a hard read. It gives you a chronological order of Amelia Earhart's life. It goes through 1987, 1908, 1920. It just goes through step by step of what happens in Amelia's life. And so, again, is it a little lengthy? Sure. But was this the hardest article in the world? I actually don't think so. So if you are having trouble with it or struggling with the length, that just kind of shows that we need to maybe pick it up a little bit when it comes to our stamina and our ability to read the entire article before answering some questions. So anyway, let's go to question number 2. We can automatically see it's already C, and let's talk about how we get there. So number 2 says, how did Amelia's visit to the aerial meet in California influence her life? And if you remember the quiz, this is actually very similar to question number 1. It's actually in the very same section of the text. But here we are in number 2. So the first thing I want to focus on is the cause and effect relationship between the aerial meet and Amelia's life, because that is what's being that's the interaction, is this event, the aerial meet, and how it impacts Amelia's entire life. Okay, so that is the cause and effect relationship. So first thing I'm going to do is I need to find this part. I need to find this event in the text. So I'm going to scroll up, and I know where it is. It's actually pretty early in the text, but it has those quotes, which is a little helpful indicator of where we can find this part in the text. And it's actually right here. Here we are over here. Aerial meet. Okay, so I found aerial meet. Now what I need to do is read before and after to understand the full context of what's happening in the passage. So I'm going to start just from the beginning here and just read this paragraph all together. So in 1920, Amelia's parents reunited and encouraged her to join them in California. Even though she was doing well in college, she decided to go. Shortly after she arrived, she went to an aerial meet with her father, and it was there that she rode in a plane for the first time. She was a passenger of a short flight over Los Angeles. Later, Amelia identified this as the moment she decided she must become a pilot. And actually, for the sake of this question, we do need to know very shortly after is when it says Amelia began flying lessons with a pioneer aviatrix named Netta Snook. That's going to be important in a second. All right, so there's our section. That's what we need to focus on, reading before and after the aerial meet. And now we need to figure out what is the most important influence that event, the aerial meet, has on her life. So let's start with A. A, she started receive flying lessons. That's a typo. That's wrong. It should be either she started to receive flying lessons or she started receiving flying lessons, but I digress. I'm gonna go back up, and that's this part down here after, in the very next paragraph. So after the event, Amelia began flying lessons with Netta Snook. So is A wrong? No. That's actually a true statement. That happened. She does receive flying lessons pretty soon after she visits the aerial meet. So we need to hold off. Now, maybe some people immediately said that, and some people did. Some people probably immediately saw that and said, "Oh, okay, there it is. A, click, done." But that's not the question. That's not the big. Is that an effect? Yes. But is that the most influential impact it has on her life? No. Let's look at answer choice B. She experienced her first plane ride. Let's go back to the text. Does she experience her first plane ride during the aerial meet? Yes. And this is probably why so many people got this one a little bit wrong, is because it's so close together. She goes to the aerial meet with her father, and it is there that she rode a plane for the first time. Does that show the cause and effect relationship? Yes, it does. But when we think about the question, is this the most impactful like outcome of her going to the aerial meet based off of those answer choices? That's when we go back to answer choice C and realize no. The most impactful influence that the aerial meet has on Amelia Earhart's life is that it's there that she decided that she must become a pilot. And I'm kind of paraphrasing straight from the text. Let's go back. So after the aerial meet later, Amelia identified this as the moment she decided she must become a pilot. And just think about it. What's the rest of this article about? The rest of this article is talking about she goes on to break records and be the first woman to fly across oceans and continents and go to different countries. That's the big influence that going to that meet had. The rest of this article doesn't talk about the fact that she rode a plane for the first time. The biggest impact that flying in this aerial or going to this aerial meet has on Amelia is she becomes a pilot. And that's what she wants to do for the rest of her life. Finally, just to make sure, she was allowed to be on a long flight. Well, that's kind of misleading. If you go back to the text, it says she was a passenger on a short flight over Los Angeles. So again, looks like not a lot of people got tripped up on that, which is good. So D, you can kind of just immediately throw out the window. But I hope you realize why C is the best answer. Are A and B false? Are they complete lies? No, they're actually in the text. They're explicitly stated in the text as well. So that's why A and B you might get tripped up on. But the best answer, the biggest impact is answer choice C. So the big takeaway I want you guys to have from this video is number one, don't just immediately assume that because you see something explicitly stated in the text very soon after maybe an event or a quote, that automatically means that's the most important and best answer. Secondly, I want you to, again, read carefully because there's going to be answer choices like that are meant to kind of trip you up. Even like option D, there was one word that just was changed from a long flight to a short flight where just because there's that one little change, that immediately you should take that out because that's just false. And finally, using implicit and explicit text evidence, you need to come up with what is the most important and influential effect that an event or a person or an idea has on something else.